What's going on, guys? Eric Geisen here, sales manager at the Honest Agent team in GG Homes. Look, today, guys, we're going to be going over presenting a cash offer. Now, first, let me preface a few things. This is after you've already scheduled an appointment, you've had a phone call or some type of qualifier, maybe in person, you met them at an open house. You did some type of pre-qualification to understand that this person might be in the realm of a cash offer and not necessarily a listing. There's someone who wants to sell, maybe it's a time frame restriction, maybe it's condition of the home, has some deferred maintenance or some major repairs that need to be done. Okay, this is the type of person that we're going to have this flow with. So if someone's fully remodeled, they don't have necessarily a time frame, cash offer probably won't work for them. This isn't going to be the structure. You're going to want to do just a listing presentation structure first. But for the people that do fall into this bucket, because there are quite a few, homes are older, this is the structure. Number one, when showing up the house, you want to go ahead and sit down with them at the very beginning and do a sit-down strategy session. What are you going to be reviewing during this sit-down strategy session? Actually, it's very simple. You're going to bring your CRS report, or maybe you can take one off Property Radar, and really what you're going to do is just go ahead and confirm the basics. Mr. Seller or Mrs. Seller, okay? Just want to confirm it. This is a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home, and it looks like we're about 1,100 square feet. Is that correct? Okay. I'm seeing on title here that these are the two names that are on title. Are these the two names that are actually on title to your knowledge? Perfect. Okay. I want to also confirm lot size is 7,000 square feet. Is this accurate to your knowledge? I also understand that there is a mortgage of roughly $300,000 from Wells Fargo. Is this also correct? Okay, fantastic. So I'm going to just read through a couple line items in the CRS report or Property Radar just to confirm. Here's the whole psychology behind it. Okay, most people, when they come in, they let the homeowner walk them around the house, and then the homeowner has all the control. What we actually want to do is we want to come in, sit them down, do a little pattern interrupt, get them sit down comfortable, have that kind of that time to build rapport, and ask them questions that will build mechanical rapport. What I mean by that is you ask them questions that it's easy for them to say yes to, or easy for them to explain. Okay. Once you start to get a bunch of these yeses started, then you want to start to ask them questions about, just to confirm their qualifiers. So something like this: Mr. Seller, just to confirm, we do want to sell this house within the next 30 days. Is that accurate? Yes. Talk to me. Why is that important to you? Again, I know we did a little bit of conversation, on the phone or at our open house when we had met you. Talk me through it. Why is it that we want to do this? What happens if we don't do this? Okay. Talk about time frame, motivation. Dive into a little bit on, got it. I know we talked a little bit about price on the phone. Did you kind of have an idea of where that was at? Okay, got it. We're going to go ahead and walk through the house here in just a little bit, and we'll go ahead and take a look at everything, and we'll get to what this investor can offer here in just a second. By the way, I'm always saying that the offer is from this investor, okay? This investor, this investor, this investor. It's not you, you're just the messenger. Because what happens is if you can't deliver the cash offer that works for them, it doesn't match the price or terms that they're looking for, you can then revert it later on into a listing agreement later. You want to be able to keep that optionality open. How do you do that? This investor, this investor, this investor. You are the liaison. You are the messenger. Okay, you're just delivering value. Now, once you've gone through these things, you know that they're going to be selling, you have a time frame, you've got some mechanical report done through going through all the specifics, you talk about if there's any crazy liens or anything else that they need to be going through, you figured out where they're going to be putting their money when they cash out, get them excited about their cash out, okay? Then you're going to want to go through a walkthrough with them. Here's how you preface it. Mr. Seller, Mrs. Seller, typically what I'd like to do is a walkthrough. If you wouldn't mind, I want to take a look at each and every room and in the property as well on the outside. I want to take a look at some major things as far as layout, how if there's any deferred maintenance for the roof or foundation, or any of these things. I want to take a look at each and every room to get a better idea of what type of condition we're working with here in this property. From there, I can get the best, I can give you the actual offer amount once we're done. So in these scenarios, Mr. Seller, what I recommend is that you follow me around the house. I'll go ahead and take notes, and I'll just ask a couple questions about some things along the way. Does that work for you? So you're going to ask their permission to basically follow you around the house while you ask the questions. You want to be the person quarterbacking this thing. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to have some owners that are going to want to take control and start walking on their own terms. If that happens, you kind of let them do it a little bit, but then reassert control. Maybe they get to take control through one room or the second room or whatever. And you're doing a little bit of following, but you want to start to direct and drive the conversation. Here's the reason for that, is they might start selling why things are good when you want to be asking questions that might bring up things that actually aren't so good. And so if you have control of it, you're asking the questions that you want the answers to, instead of them pitching what maybe would deter from a lower cash offer. Okay, so some pointers to that, what things that you can do while you're walking through the rooms. Okay, when was this remodeled? So a lot of the when questions. Okay, have you had any issues with this? Okay, if you didn't sell, how would you address X, Y, or Z? Let me elaborate on this for a second. So, Mr. Seller here, it looks like there's some cracking in the foundation here, some possible issues with the foundation. If you didn't sell this today, how would you address this foundation? Would you be coming out of pocket and paying? I mean, it could be quite a bit. If you didn't sell, what are you going to be doing about this? Okay. Ask questions on, has anything been difficult? To maintain? How old is X, Y, or Z? Let me elaborate. Mr. Seller, how old are these appliances here? Oh, well, they're 25 years old. Oh, got it, okay. Mr. Seller, how old is the roof? Do you have any idea? Okay. Also, you want to ask, do you know if this is permitted? Okay, not all houses are going to have questionable structures, but a lot of them will. Do you know if this is permitted? Okay. While you're going through the house and ask these questions, you also can have a conversation with them, talk about things that they're interested in, so you build that rapport so they like you as a person. But you want to be asking these questions that can bring up some concerns to them. Okay. And you also want to inject some stuff like, if you don't sell it, what would happen? Do you plan to fix these? Like, it looks like there's a lot of deferred maintenance. Okay. These are the questions that you want to ask, and you're going to be taking notes on these things while you're walking through the home. If in the event you feel like a homeowner is getting uncomfortable about answering some of these questions, they start to get a little bit shorter in their responses, maybe they start to be looking the other way, you start to get that feeling, go ahead and just shut it down right there and just go back and sit down and present the offer. Okay, sometimes people are embarrassed about their home. You don't want to just keep pushing it in, okay? So if that happens and you recognize it, like, hey, no problem, you know what? I'm just gonna do a quick walkthrough. Just don't ask as many questions, just keep through it, just take notes of it, and just go back down and be ready to submit the offer, okay? Once we do this, we're moving to step 3. Mr. Seller, did you have a better, I know when we talked on the phone, we weren't sure about a price. Did you have a price in mind? Did you have a better idea of a price in mind? You want them to give you the price first, okay? If you already have one, maybe they gave it to you over the phone and it was higher, okay? You can just restate it. Hey, I know you wanted $400,000. Okay, have you done any reconsideration of price? Now that we've dissected the home a little bit and take a look at some of the work that needs to be done. Okay, but the idea is you want them to give you the price first. Why? Some people, right, only need a certain amount of money for it to make sense for them as a win. Okay, and also as a negotiation tactic, you always want the other party to give you the price first because then you have something to base it off of. Okay, maybe you realize that they're still unrealistic or they're way too high on the price of the home. You're gonna have a lot harder of a battle, but at least you know that going into it. Okay, once you have that, here's where we're now presenting the offer. Okay, let's talk about presenting the offer. First off, I'd be asking questions like this. Mr. Seller, is, number one, a quick sale important to you? Okay. An offer with little or no contingencies of value to you. Okay. is a sale without having to market of value to you. Is a sale without any closing costs or realtor fees commissions of value. Okay? These are the questions you want to be asking right before you present it. Got it. Okay, cool. Based on what you're telling me, use those terminology. Based on what you're telling me, I think you'll like this investor's offer. Boom. Okay. Mr. Seller, based on what you're telling me, I have a feeling that you're going to like this investor's offer. Let me dive into it and dissect what it is. They are willing to offer $300,000 and offer, you know what, that's added the word all cash. You know what, 300,000, just leave it like that. And they will pay all closing costs and can close in as little as 7 days. And then the most important part, silence, okay? Here's the deal. Based on what you're telling me, I think you're really going to like this offer. Mr. Seller, this investor is willing to offer $300,000 and they'll pay all closing costs and can close as little as 7 days. In silence, okay? You want them to start thinking about it. Okay? This is part 4. This is this investor's offer. Sometimes, and hopefully right away, they say, all right, fantastic, let's do it. What do you do then? You bring out your residential purchase agreement, or if it's a distress situation, your notice of default purchase agreement, present it, have them sign off on it. Walk them through each little step. My recommendation is don't go into too much detail, but show them the key points. Have them start signing the first couple pages and then ask them, hey, did you want me to walk through line item? You're going to get a copy of this. Or do you want to just go ahead and sign through the rest of it? Let them know it's the standard California Association purchase agreement. 90+% of the contracts are done through this agreement, which help protect you as a seller and us as a buyer. Okay. Main points on the contract, by the way, also point out there's no agency relationship, meaning this is essentially for sale by owner direct to this investor. Okay. Now, let's say there's some pushback. Okay. What are some common pushbacks? Well, it's a little low. Can it be higher? That's a terrible offer, or something along those lines. Okay. Or, yeah, that's not going to work. Okay. Let's dive into this. Okay, let's say, well, you know what, Eric or whoever it is, they say your name. Hey, Eric, you know what? That offer's a little bit low. Got it. Okay, I understand right where you're coming from. You're trying to get, make a little bit more money on your property. Let me ask you this: what price did you have in mind? Ask them what price they have in mind now that you've given your offer. What price would make this work? Okay. You want to find where they're at and where you're at, so then you can start the negotiation process. Okay. Can it be higher? Same thing. Got it. Well, what did you have in mind? How much higher were you thinking? I don't know what this investor is going to do. Okay. I can simply ask. Okay. But eventually we're going to get into your tactical empathy down here on the negotiation side. But you want to ask them, well, what do you think? That's a terrible offer. Oh, is it? Okay, got it. Well, maybe there's something that they're missing. Well, what did you think a good offer would be? Okay. Yeah, it's not going to work. Okay, got it. Well, what's not going to work about it? Have them clarify. Well, it's a price. Got it. Okay, we're in the price. Well, where did you need to be for the price to work? So put it back on them. Hopefully, you have this, your price, $300,000, and then their price. Let's say their price is $360,000. Okay. So we have a gap of $60K, or we roughly need a 20% reduction here. How are we going to make that happen? Here's what I would recommend doing. I would move them into an analytical frame. To begin with, I'd ask them, how are you coming up with $360,000? And let them talk. Ask them an open-ended question. How are you coming up with this price of $360,000? Well, the neighbor's house down the street sold for $400,000. It's a little bit better condition than ours, so I think ours is worth $360,000. Okay. Got it. So at least you now know the information. Or maybe they just say, well, that's what I need to make this deal work. Well, can you elaborate? Why do you need 360 to make it work? Dive deeper. Have them start talking about it. Okay. Let's go with the example of, well, the neighbor's house is 400,000. Our house needs a little bit more work. It probably needs 40K in work, so we want to sell for 360,000. Well, that's easy-ish. What I'd say is something like this. Got it. Are you also aware of all the other additional costs that your neighbor had to spend to get that home sold at 400,000? Do you know what they pay in realtor costs? You know what they pay in title and escrow? Well, roughly it's going to be about 7 or 8%. So if you think about that, if they sold for 400,000 and it was, let's say, 7% on the low end, that's another $28,000 they sold, and they also had to go to market. Okay. How am I supposed to? I understand where you're coming from with 360,000. You want to make a good choice and sell your home for the correct amount of money. And I know that we're down at 300,000. And it doesn't seem like it's the correct offer, but how am I supposed to get an investor to come up and pay 360, okay, when if you were to sell on market, you would maybe get 360 minus closing costs and everything else. How am I supposed to get an investor to pay that premium? How am I supposed to do that? Well, I don't know. Maybe will they do 340? What's going to happen is one of two things are going to happen. They're either going to adjust their expectation or their ask, in this case, reduce it, okay? Or they're going to come up with some other type of creative solution. Maybe they'll say something like, well, how about this? We'll do 360, but I'll let you do seller financing and I won't charge any interest for the first 12 months. As an example. That's unlikely, but sometimes you'll run into this. That's sometimes a creative solution. Or maybe, you know what, I'll sell for 360, but I'll also sell my lot next door and I'll sell it to you for 20 grand. Okay? So, you want to do, I'll write this out here in a second. You want to take them and move them into an analytical frame. How did you come up with this price? Are you aware of all the other costs, the comparables on market? And then from there, to juice it up again, you can say, hey, Mr. Seller, this is what we're looking at. This is what we see. Or this is what this investor sees. Let's change it from we to this investor. Okay. And now what I would do is I'd have your comparables ready. So this is the comp justification here. I would have your comparables ready to show them this is what other homes that had a lot of deferred maintenance sold for. go find some of the lowest sales in the neighborhood. I guarantee there are some of them, if you're in a larger metropolitan area, of something that's more similar to maybe your $300,000 offer price. Okay. Once you've coached them through these comps and why the home sold for that lower price, ask them, say, hey, look, I know you wanted 360. I know where you're coming from. You're trying to make a smart decision. And I still think we can get this done. You know, what can we do, okay, to make this work? Ask them an open-ended, calibrated question. What can we do? This is called tactical empathy. I'm going to go ahead and put this on the board here. It's called tactical empathy. Number one, you're going to make them feel heard. And then you want them to empathize with you. So you're going to empathize with them here. This is you giving empathy to them. You make them feel heard. Empathize here with them. And then you need them to empathize with you. Slash your investor that you work with, okay? Hey, Mr. Sally, I understand you're trying to get 360 for the home, and you saw the neighbor's home sell for 400,000, and maybe it wasn't in great condition. But how am I supposed to get, calibrated question, how am I supposed to get this investor all the way up to 360,000 when at 300,000 they had to invest 50, 60,000, 70,000, 80,000, 90,000 dollars just to get the home back up to market and hopefully make some type of return on their investment? How am I supposed to get them up 60,000 to make that happen? If they're going to take all this risk off your plate and there's going to be nothing left to make, how am I supposed to do that? What's going to happen is, with this, it's an open-ended question. You can ask them in the form of how or what can we do to get this done? Okay, how or what? These are great openers for open-ended calibrated questions. What's going to happen is the seller's probably going to want two things. Number one is a creative solution. Or secondly, they're going to adjust their ask. Okay? Adjust their ask. Well, you know what? You're right. Maybe, well, can they do like 330,000, meet in the middle? Okay, so now, boom, take it from just 360 down to 330. Boom. Wonderful. Let me see what I can do. Let me reach out to this investor and see how they react to this 330,000. Okay, this is what I would do at this point in time. I'd say, hang on right here, I'm gonna go make a phone call, be right back in. Okay, I'll go outside, go talk to them, say, hey, they got to 330, how do you want to respond? This is the start of the negotiation here. Let's just say, hey, let's hold firm at 300,000 and see what happens. Okay, what I would do now is I'd come back in and say, Mr. Seller, I really appreciate the fact that you're willing to come down to 330. You know, in talking with this investor, you know, what they did was they came in with their best foot forward in the beginning, and for them to take on this risk and this project, you know, at 330, it's really going to be too risky of a project, and they don't expect to make any money on it. So unfortunately, it's really not going to work at that price. Is there any way that you can get closer to this 300,000 that we can make it work? Okay. Well, no, it's not. It's just not going to work. It's not going to work. Eventually, you want to continue asking, using tactical empathy, how can we make this work? What can we do to make this work? Eventually, you want to get them down to a certain level where you can go back outside again and make another call and say, you know what? I talked to them again. They want to make this work for you. What they're willing to do is they're willing to adjust it up to 310,000. But I think that's all that they're going to be able to do. Do we have a deal? Can we make it happen at 310,000? You're going to have money in your bank account in 7 days. Sell the benefits. Okay. There's no contingencies. There's no request for repairs. There's no going to market time. At 310,000, straight to the bank. We could do it in 7 days. Can we make it work at 310,000? And just slowly negotiate back down to a win-win for both parties, or a perceived win-win for both parties. Okay. Now let's talk about other creative solutions. I'm going to erase this here. Actually, you know what? Real quick, I'm going to touch on a couple things I missed. Number one is you can remind them of their condition, motivation, time frame, and their competition. Let me dissect this. Okay. Remind them of the condition. Self-explanatory. Okay. Look, Mr. Homeowner, we went through the home. You and I both are in agreement that the home does need a lot of work. It looks like you're going to need a new roof. You're going to have to put in all new flooring. You're going to have to redo all the cabinetry. The whole kitchen's got to go. The bathroom's got to go. They have a lot of deferred maintenance, plumbing, electrical. We haven't even gotten to the walls yet. We don't even know what's going to be happening. There's a lot of risk in this project, and I think we both understand that. This home was built in 1954. Okay? What ends up happening with condition, Mr. Seller, is if you were to try to bring this thing to on market, not even outside investor, it's very likely that it wouldn't qualify for financing anyways, which means it would have to sell to an investor. When you're selling to an investor, Mr. Homeowner, what ends up happening is investors invest into things to make money. In order for them to make money, it has to fit their risk-reward profile. So if you have all this additional risk, that's why they're at the price point that they're at. Can you get on board with understanding why that is, why it is? That's one way you can address condition. It's about motivation. Mr. Seller, I know you want to get this deal done. You need to be across the country last month and you're still holding this property trying to get it figured out, and you got a job that you got to go to, or you got to do whatever you got to do, okay? Or someone else in your family needs money, or you got medical bills, or whatever it is that you need this money for. Mr. Seller, if we don't do this, what's next? Okay, if you don't take this offer today, what are you going to do? Are you going to be able to get this done in time? We can make this problem go away. We can solve your problem. You have money in your bank account in 7 days. Let's talk about time frame. Again, I guess these kind of correlate, right? And there's a lot of overlap with time frame motivation. Mr. Seller, if you go a different route, how long do you think it'll take you to sell this home at the price point that you're looking at? Here's how we look at time frames. If you look at time and price, okay, let's do that again. Okay. What ends up happening with real estate, Mr. Seller, is the higher your price is, the longer it's going to take in time to sell that home. So let's say that your home you're trying to sell for $100,000 more than it's worth. How long will that take? Well, that might take 5 years, might take 10 years, right? Let's say you're trying to sell it for $500,000 more. Well, this might take 30 years, right? We'd all agree with that. Okay. The lower that you come down in price, the faster in time you'll be able to sell it. So if you were to sell it for $1, obviously you're a smart guy, you wouldn't sell it for $1. But if you sold it for $1, it'd be sold all the way down here. Okay? Here's this timeline that we're on. Your timeline is you need to have this money in the bank in 14 days. If you're asking too much money in price, do you think you're going to be able to get it done in 14 days? You know that you need to get this money for X, Y, and Z, and you can solve those other issues, and then it all comes down to this home. So really, if you do need to sell, you're telling me the truth, you do need to get this money in 14 days, we're going to have to agree on a price that works for someone who's willing to pay in this amount of time. Is that accurate? Perfect. Okay. Let's talk about competition. Some other things you can do to add some additional pressure in negotiating. Look, Mr. Seller, we have two other properties. Other homes we are meeting the sellers on. On this afternoon. Okay. I know this investor is going to be buying one home, and I can't guarantee they're going to buy a second or third. In fact, they're most likely not. They just don't have the capacity to do it. I know we're close on price. I'd hate for you to lose out on the option of being able to take this offer at $310,000, and they would go ahead and take another done today. Otherwise, you run the risk of us going on this other appointment and then be able to work a deal with one of the other sellers that are ready to sell. Okay, so that can also add some additional layers of pressure. Okay. Other things you can do creatively that you can make a deal work. Okay, some homeowners are all about price and they don't care as much about terms. Okay, so price is greater than terms. I guess I should write it like this. For these homeowners, what can you do? You know, Mr. Seller, I have a solution. I have this other investor. You can just call it another investor because haven't seen the contract. They don't know what LLC is on it. I have another investor that will pay more for your property, but I'd require a commission to come out of the sale. So I can get you closer to your 330 that you're looking for, but I will require a commission on this sale. If I can get them at $330,000, we work out a reasonable industry standard commission. Would you be willing to take it at $330 with this other investor? Well, yeah, I think I'd be interested in that. Let's do that. Well, guess what? You put in a 6% listing, okay, and you double end it. What's 6% of $330,000? I don't have the math in front of me right now. Okay, but I guess what? Your net is closer to $300K. Boom. Net is closer to $300,000. You just end up pocketing that commission, you roll it back in, and you can make the deal work. Other things that you can negotiate, okay, is maybe they have something else on the property that's not part of the sale that you can add into the sale, and this is more creative. I've seen this happen where someone's like, well, you know what, they've got a vehicle that they're not utilizing on the property, you make a condition of sale to also sell the vehicle. So they sell the vehicle for $1, they get $330 for the house, and they also get the vehicle that's worth $20,000. Is that going to happen very often? No, very, very, very few times, but it's possible. Okay. Other terms that can help with maybe the terms are more important than the price, and this happens a lot. Let's reverse it. Maybe they have a tenant in the property that they really care about, but they need the money now. Here's what you do. Say, got it, Mr. Seller, you know what, I understand our original offer was, the tenants would move out you would help the tenants move out and you get a 60-day notice and then we buy it as soon as the tenants move out. That was what our deal was subject to. What if we did this? I know we're a little bit off on price. What if we did this? What if we kept our price but actually lowered it, let's say $15,000. Let's lower it $15,000. What we'll do is this. We'll still close it in 7 days. And guess what, Mr. Seller? We're going to also give your tenants plenty of time to go ahead and move out. We're going to issue them a 60-day notice to terminate tenancy, and we're going to actually help them find the next spot and help them feel really positive about this transition, because I know they're really important, that their well-being is very important to you. We'll go ahead and do that, and let's take the offer from $310, let's move it down to $295. And I'll take care of your tenants, and you don't have to worry about them. They're going to be in great hands. We do this all the time. How does that sound? Okay, this is a time where you can then sell in terms versus price, because maybe it's not the money they're worried about. They're worried about the tenant having to leave right away, or a situation where they feel uncomfortable being the ones to get the tenant to leave. Maybe just flip the terms and give them a deal that way. There are other ways that you can negotiate it. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else. If you were to, break things down to make them more concrete. Let's say there's a scenario where there's 4 beneficiaries on a property. And you need to negotiate, you're trying to negotiate $24,000 difference in price. Explain to them, effectively, this is only $6,000 difference per person, per beneficiary, if they're equal. for all that additional time and effort to get it done elsewhere, is it really worth all your time for an extra $6,000 a piece? Now, for you seem like a smart guy. That might be, a month or two worth of work, or less, maybe half a month, right? Are you sure it's worth all that hassle to get this thing done? Let's just get this thing done. Okay, so you can kind of compartmentalize it. You can talk about the ease of the transaction, okay, versus going to market. Here's the deal. Is the price, do you think you can get a little bit more market? Possibly. We don't know for sure. It depends on who can buy it, what the market's dictating. Okay. But here's the deal. If you're going to market, so let's say you did a cash offer, there's no marketing time. There's no money to repair / clean in advance. No money out of pocket for inspections and reports. Okay, obviously no commissions. Think about the opportunity cost of your time. Talk about the holding costs. Wow, this is a huge one. And also talk about the uncertainty. So obviously, Mr. Seller, there's no marketing time. This thing's done. It's locked up. You don't have to get, you don't have to wait 60 days, 90 days, or in some cases, some homes are sitting for 150 days or longer. Okay, you don't have to run that risk. We can get it done as soon as you have to close, 7 days, or even, potentially even a little bit less than that. There's no money to do repairs or cleaning. You don't have to do anything. We buy it as is. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to lift a finger, except just sign some contracts. Okay, no money for inspections or repairs. There's additional money that comes out of your pocket. Okay. Also ask questions. Do you have money to do repairs? Okay. Commissions. There's no commissions on this. It's going to save you $25,000, $30,000, $40,000. What's the opportunity cost of your time? If you bring this into market, how much time are you going to need to invest in this? What's going to cost you? Holding costs. Also, we sell this thing today. You don't have to pay the mortgage on this thing next month, the month after when it's sitting vacant, if it is, or you don't have to pay double rent, or double mortgages, or you don't have to pay you don't have to pay all these additional costs. What about all the maintenance costs? You have stuff that's falling apart. What happens if everything goes? You have a flood. You don't have these costs. You're moving the risk onto somebody else. Also, the uncertainty. Mr. Seller, we don't know where this market's at. I know you might think that you can get $360 for the property, but the truth is you're probably going to see a lot of other offers very similar to this, if they're even available. We don't know what you're going to be able to get on the market. Okay. So these are the things that you can talk about. Now, last part 6. If you know, and here's the deal, if you sense it right away that it's not going to fly as a cash deal, okay, this is how you transition. This is so important. Okay, I would agree with them. Okay, and then introduce retail buyer. This is it. Got it. You know what? And take a look at the property. You know what? I agree with you. I think you're right. I think you can get more money for this property than what this other investor can give you. In fact, I don't think if the other investor, I know we brought the offer today, I don't think it's the right fit anyways. Actually, you know what I think, Mr. Seller, is that I think you're going to get more money if I can bring one of my retail buyers. I have a retail buyer, that I have actually a couple. We have a huge database of them that I think would be really interested in this property. I think we get closer to the price and terms that you're looking for. I think that's the way to make this happen so we can get you that more money that you're looking for. Let's do this. Here's my solution. Let's go ahead. Let's get paperwork started so I can go ahead and start to represent you and I can bring my buyers to this property to get you an offer at the price and terms that you're looking for. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, you do want to sell this house, correct? Yes. Okay. And really, what you're looking for is to get the price and terms that match. It looks like 360, right? That's really what you want. Is that accurate? Okay. I can get my other guys to go up and do this. All I need you to do is go ahead and sign this off, this listing agreement here. What this does is this will actually give me a fiduciary duty to work in your best interest, and I can bring some of my retail buyers, and also I'll go ahead and call out some of the other make some calls out to some of the other brokers in town to get them interested in this property as well. How does that sound? And go ahead and just go right into a residential listing agreement. It has to be short, sweet, and easy. Just go ahead and do that. And that's how you can transition it out. If there's some pushback, well, you just came at me with a cash offer. Just say, oh, whoa, hold on. You know, you're correct. This is the investor's cash offer. I'm the messenger here. But in looking at it and based on the feedback that you've given me, I think you're right. I think we can get more for this property. I'm going to help you do it. I'm going to be able to bring my retail buyers. Let me show you something cool. Maybe you can pull up your database and show them all the other retail buyers that you have that are in the market that might be able to get them the price in terms of what they're looking for. So that's how I'd transition it out. Or what you can do, okay, maybe you feel it's super uncomfortable, you really blew the deal, let's do this. But okay, you know what? Sounds like it's not going to work. Here's my recommendation. I know this guy who's a great agent. He's going to be the one who has all the buyers in the market. He's the one who's going to be able to get you that price you're looking for. I think it's too high for what the property's worth. But guess what? I've seen this guy work some miracles. This is the guy that's going to be able to sell for that price and terms. Let's give him a call and just go call someone else on the team right away. And be like, hey, we got a property. It's not going to work for this investor I'm working with, but I think you would be the person to help get this price in terms of the seller's looking for, and then connect those parties. Let the other party come in and get the listing agreement. That's how I would transition this thing out from a cash deal pitch into a listing. Alright guys, I think that about wraps it up. Obviously there's some nuances here and there that we did not go over, but hopefully this gave you a fairly comprehensive overlook of how to present a cash offer, and I wish you all the best.